Good morning, good morning. How is my favorite people today? Hope everybody's having a good day. Not stressing out early this morning, fighting with traffic, or you know how we do as humans. So I'm stuck out here. I had to pull over for the night. I didn't make it to my delivery, so my day off won't technically start until tonight. So it's some crap. But I'm going to just take 2 days off because I really need to catch up on this homework, and it's been a lot of backed up stuff that I got to do. It's so crazy how I'm getting closer to graduation and Satan just keeps throwing stuff at me. It's like I could just feel as soon as, like, let's say I got my day prepared to do my homework, something will happen with my job, or something will happen with where I got to stop what I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? And I notice it's been happening a lot this last semester that just passed, trying to make me fail. And I only got 2 semesters left to graduation, so that's about 4.5 more months or whatever. But anyways, shout out to my day one John. I call him my brother from another mother. Love you, brother. He is a water sign like me. But you sent me, I don't know if you're going to see this video, but more than likely you'll probably see this video. But you sent me something from a couple days ago, and I didn't get to going through my messages on YouTube until last night because I had a few minutes to chill and check my messages. And I seen that you sent me something from Carl Jung. Carl Jung is a psychologist. Hopefully y'all can hear me over this truck. Let me turn the truck off. Hold on. It's freezing outside, but the truck kind of gets warm, so I keep the air on sometimes. But if it gets warm, I'll just take my jacket off. But I do got to go back outside and do my pre-trip on my truck before I head out. So that's why I said I don't have a whole lot of time. Anyways, Carl Jung is a psychologist, and you sent me a link talking about narcissistic people and why they envy not just the empaths, but authentic people. So I was looking at that video, and guess what? Something popped in my algorithm connected to that same video about the empaths. And I made a video yesterday telling my story about how I've been victimized in a lot of my relationships and with my mom. And I was saying things that I kind of forgot there was a psychological term in some of these things that I've been through. And one of them was Carl Jung. He uses something called an archetype. And I would be considered the wounded healer. The wounded healer. That is an empath that has been pushed to their brink psychologically. And they say when an empath has been pushed past their normal threshold of empathic feelings, it goes into a deep psychological whirlwind. And what happens is either that empath, it could make or break them. And I said, wow, that is powerful, because throughout my life cycle, a lot of narcissistic people have came and gone in my life, and they've always, it seemed like their main goal was to psychologically break me. Now, the empath, they're not only emotional people, but they're also psychologically in-depth people. These are people that are very insightful, very intuitive. This is what makes them empaths. But there's a dark side to that situation, how they got to become an empath. There's a lot of people that have become an empath because of childhood abuse. You see what I'm saying? So in childhood abuse, when you are a person that's like very caring, right? You're a child. Excuse me. I gotta drink my coffee, y'all. I still got the the frog breath. The frog throat. These toll people woke me up at 3 a.m. last night, banging on my door like they po-po. Excuse me, I gotta change the subject. But this is why I'm sleepy. I'm still sleepy. And he's like, oh, why you parked? No, he said, did you get into an accident? And I said, no, it was a young white boy. I don't want to call him boy. There was a young white man. And he said, can you move your truck up to the exit? Now, I can see the exit. So I'm kind of like under a bridge, but it's like a wide pathway, a wide path a wide pathway that's big enough for like, it's wide enough for like 2 trucks. So when trucks or cars are passing me, they don't have to move to the next lane because it's a lot of space here to park. So I was like, I don't see the problem. Why is he making me move? But I was so tired and frazzled. So he was like, can you move up to the exit? So I'm like, fuck. My clock is already expired. So technically I would have had to go into violation. So I was like, well, maybe I could creep the truck real slow. So I was going to creep the truck to like 4 miles an hour so that it doesn't push my clock into active, and see if I could go up there. And just when I was about to get into the driver's seat, an older white man, he comes to my passenger side and he said, I don't see no axe. He's like, did you hit the wall? And I was like, what are you talking? I'm so confused. And he said, no, we got a report that there was a truck that hit a wall. I'm like, see, Satan with this bullshit? Ain't nobody hitting no wall. So he looking at the side of the truck to see if something happened. And he's looking like, what the hell? Like, why did that? It was so strange. I said, no, there was no accident. And he's like, oh, so you just sleeping? I'm like, yeah, I was. He started laughing. And he's like, oh, go back to sleep. The other white kid would have had me driving. This is the thing I don't like about younger people. Not all younger people, but this generation, they don't communicate well. They don't communicate efficiently. He should have asked me the appropriate questions. One was, he did mention an accident. And I said, no, I didn't have an accident. So clearly he either didn't hear me. But anyways, the other older guy, I was like, thank you, because he knew what he was talking about. So I went back to sleep. It was hard for me to go back to sleep. It took like almost an hour to fall back to sleep. Anyways, back to what I was saying. I probably done lost my train of thought. They psychologically break you from childhood. And I can't stay on here long. Like, hopefully I don't go too far into this video. When you're a child, you become, it's like it forces you to become hyper vigilant because you don't want to get abused. So now you're watching everyone else to see if, it's kind of like you're always walking on eggshells, making sure like you don't piss nobody off. So that turns you into becoming a people pleaser. But it's kind of like fear-based. So the unevolved empath tends to dwindle down in their empathic behavior, and they become less empathic, and then they lose that light for life, that zest for life, because they allow people to impact and infiltrate their psychological makeup, the thing that makes them tick. So I would say a combination of being abused by like my parents, mostly my mother, because she was more psychological. My dad was more of a physical abuser. I would have to give my dad a little bit more props because he's the one that kind of like embedded spirituality into me. And he gave me a level of autonomy in spirituality that I didn't know it would come useful today, like to become a spiritual warrior, right? So even with all the abuse, I could see with my father some level of value in what a lot of things he taught me. He taught me to be a leader. He taught me to be strong. You see what I'm saying? So even though he was beating my ass at some times and stuff like that, he instilled a lot of good values in me. Whereas my mom stripped me. She stripped me of my values. She psychologically beat me down. And when I tell you, it was like horrible being around my mom. Everybody all the siblings have been psychologically fucked with dealing with her. And another thing, my dad, he got sent to jail when I was like 13. So I didn't have to deal with him no more. It was her that we had to deal with even up to this day. Even up to this day, she's still psychologically fucking with people, right? So the empath, the empathic person, they're at a higher sensitivity level when it comes to the psychological world and the spiritual world. So that's like a heavy burden for the empath that we carry, because we're always paying attention to making sure we don't offend people, or making sure that we block our own feelings, putting our own feelings aside, and engulfing other people's feelings. And I made a video a couple days ago and I was telling y'all this is what pushed me to like having borderline syndrome and codependency symptoms. where I'm so invested in other people's problems to the point where it becomes my own. Like the pain they're feeling, I'm feeling it. But when you get to that level of what Carl Jung is talking about, where you're so penetrated that you can't be penetrated no more as far as your psychological makeup, and I'm talking about in spiritual and psychological warfare, that something happens to the empath. And I couldn't put my finger on it, that within the last 6 months I had such a change in me that a lot of people didn't recognize me. You see what I'm saying? Excuse the mess in the back, I'm about to go clean up. I mean, it's not really messy, it's just I be doing my makeup and stuff, and my bed is the only thing I have. But what was I saying? This last 6 months, I couldn't put my finger on it as to why I was so like extra resilient. I was still struggling with some of my anger, because I'm still upset with people that's still trying to take advantage of me. Like I was telling y'all, I had left my stuff at my ex narcissist house, and he was giving me such a problem just to get the things that I needed. So it was a lot of people still, it was still a lot of little lingering narcissist people messing with me. My mom was still doing little devious stuff to my granddaughter and to my other daughter. So it was a lot of things that was like weighing heavy on me. But I noticed I was able to filter out a lot of the bullshit. Back in the day, I would have filtered in the bullshit and let it impact my feelings, my emotions, my psychology. All of that would have been impacted based off of something that went down. And I don't know why I keep losing my train of thought. It's probably somebody pulling on my energy as usual, per usual. And another thing is, like, haters, they don't want to see my channel grow. They come on my channel, troll my channel, insult me, you know what I'm saying? And I realize it's pathetic. I laugh at these people because it's like they spend morning, noon, and night trying to break the psychology of the light beings. They're trying to figure you out, watch you, wait for you to fall. And they don't even realize when you get to this powerful level of the wounded warrior, or they call it the wounded healer, or the sovereign empath. Failure is not, we don't look at failure as failure the way other people look at failure. To me, failure is when you give up on yourself, when you feel like you're not capable, you're not strong, you're not powerful. But external stuff that comes and goes that's supposed to be temporary, I would never look at that as a failure. If I lost something other than like a family member, you know what I'm saying, that would greatly impact me. But I wouldn't, if I lost a job or something like that, I wouldn't even look at that as a failure. I look at everything as a lesson. How can I alchemize this lesson? That could have been God telling me, you've been here too long. It's time for you to do something different. I called you to do something more powerful, and you decided to stay at this job too long. So now I'm going to make it where you have to do something different. When you look at things in an alchemy, and that's another thing that was in the video of Carl Jung. He said alchemy transformation or something like that. I was like, whoa, he's using the same words that I was saying in my video yesterday, and I hadn't even read. I read some of Carl Jung's theories in my psychology class, but they give you kind of the basics. The thing about when you go to school, they can't tell you everything. The actual student has to go and find additional resources to learn more. Like you take your free time and you go buy an additional book. And when you have your PhD, I don't have my PhD yet. I'm working on my master's. But when you get your PhD, that's when you do most of the reading, because it's more research based. I don't know why my throat's so dry. I had my humidifier on last night. Poor quality air. So some of the teachings that Carl Jung talks about, I've brushed a little bit about it, but I haven't really in-depthly studied Carl Jung's philosophies and things like that. But when I was watching that particular video last night, he was talking about alchemy, transmutation, or transformation. Same difference, but I was just saying that yesterday in my video about you have to alchemize negative energy. You can't let negative energy penetrate you. This is what the narcissist does. The narcissist is the exact opposite of the empathic being. The narcissist is the one that lives in the shadow self. The narcissist resonates in the shadow self, right? This is where they can hide. So while they're hiding there, they're actually kind of like praying for a light, some type of light in their life. So it's like a dark, dismal. It's kind of like you get a stray dog. I'm not calling a narcissist a stray dog, so don't switch my context. You know, sometimes people come in here and they make up shit. But it's kind of like a stray dog. You put the stray dog in a house. The house is beautiful, but you put the dog in a kennel that's wet and dark, and you just give it basic dry food. No steak, no real nourishing food. So the dog gets used to that level of dwelling, even though it sees the house. The house is beautiful. It sees the beautiful, china. It smells the aroma when you're cooking. The dog is salivating for the food, but it's got complacent being in that kennel. It got complacent staying there. So now you train this dog for years to just stay in this level of dwelling. This is a dwelling now. This is not just, oh, I come by and I visit. This is where the dog stays morning, noon, and night. And then years later, you come along and you say, you know what? I'm gonna let the dog live in the regular house with us. This dog is going to feel overwhelmed because the house is beautiful. It's so nice. The dog's paws is dirty. It's touching on the white carpet. You're yelling at it. You're looking at it funny, like something wrong with you. That's how they feel around light beings. Light beings are not really judging them, but they just feel that level of deficiency. They feel inefficient when a light being comes along. The light being is not looking at them inefficiently, but the light being can see through them because they know darkness. Light beings pick up on darkness quicker than any other individuals. So when we see that there's a dark entity on you, we're gonna sense it immediately. Now, the empath that is not evolved is going to want to help that dark being, not realizing that dark being is going to tap into that empath's dark self. Everybody has a dark self. It's just, are you evolved enough to come face to face with your dark self? My dark self was my lack of assurity that I didn't need validation from people. So my dark side was I was afraid to be alone. Does that make sense? So you got to remember, I grew up with 8 brothers and sisters. 7. I'm the 8th child. I grew up with people living in my house, taking advantage of my dwelling since I had my own apartment. I got my own apartment when I was like 20. So I had my brother come stay with me. It's like my whole life, I've never really had to like really sit with myself. And there was one little phase I went through about 2 years when I was in my early 20s. I did live alone and I couldn't handle it. I used to have to go out like every night. I don't know why I couldn't be alone. Back then I didn't know. But I didn't realize I was fighting my own inner demons. My lack of self-worth, my low self-esteem. I always loved life. I always loved people. That was one thing about me that made me empathic. I love people. I love life. Like I was always optimistic about life. But there was a dark side to me where I felt alone. That no one couldn't understand that loneliness. And it was a devoid of love. I had never gotten love as a kid. So I always looked for it in people. I looked for it in relationships. I looked for it in all the wrong places. That song came in my head. Been around the world and I can't find my baby. I don't know. You know that song. So I was all around the world looking for love when it should have been right here. I didn't understand that philosophy. It should have been right here and right here. So all my chakras was down. It was dense. So I was looking for things in all the wrong places. So I didn't recently realize, I started to realize that throughout the years, even through counseling, no one really tapped into making me understand that concept. But what actually made me understand that concept is being broken by a narcissist. Narcissistic people will break you because they make you look at your shadow side. So what they'll do is they'll deflect their shadow onto you, and then you deflect your light onto them. So you help them improve and they help break you down. But in the breaking you down, it can actually rebuild you to a better you. So now the new me, about, I would say a year ago, I kept looking for the old me. And when I say the old me, I'm talking about the old me prior to the relationship that I just left, the narcissist that I just recently broke up with, right? I was like, hold on. Why am I looking for the old me? I kept mourning the old me. Like, oh, I used to do this. You know how you had like certain hobbies, you had certain things you like to think about. I kept trying to find where's that person? And it was making me a little frustrated and a little sad. I was like, where's this person? Where is she? Where is she? Like, why am I, like, I felt like the things that I used to think about, I don't think about. The things that I used to like, I don't like. The people that I used to resonate with, I don't resonate with. The things that I would listen to that I would think was good, I don't like. So that's why I was like, something's different about me. I couldn't even put my finger on it. And I started to come to grips with it. I just accepted it. I was like, you know what? This is a good move. This is a bold move. Not giving a damn, but giving a damn. Knowing when to give a damn. And I know it sounds simplistic, but it's way more harder for an empath. This is a battle for life with us. It's like a battle to the death with an empath, to understand when to filter out not giving a damn. Giving a damn too much is your downfall as an empath, because you will be sucked into the rabbit hole of giving too much of a damn. And we don't understand that concept when you care too much, because you're like, well, when do I not care? When should I care? But as you get more evolved, the same thing that made you an empath, which is the intuition, is the same thing that will make you a wise, sovereign empath. That was the terminology that Carl Jung was using. A sovereign empath. Think about sovereignty. Sovereignty is the freedom to know what's yours. So someone can't come along and be like, hey, I need that land. I need your property. You're a sovereign being on this planet. We were supposed to be sovereign on this planet. It's the government, the powers that be, that came and told us we had to like tell them and get ownership of what's permissible. Like you can't grow certain items on your own property. So there's no sovereign rights in these type of countries. So a sovereign empath is a person that owns their own feelings. We own our own feelings, and another person's problems or feelings can't come and impose on our own unique way of thinking. And that's another thing. People that have this dark shadow that is like owning them, they don't understand that you can't come along and think because you don't like this or you don't do this or you don't have this type of feeling, you're going to come and impose on a person that does have those feelings and make them change and try to influence them to become dark like you. And that's what happens in these dynamics, especially with narcissistic relationships. You end up thinking like the narcissist. You end up wanting to be like, do things to make yourself a narcissistical to get them to respect you. You see what I'm saying? And then what happens is the narcissist will highlight, it's like they'll highlight you doing things just like them. They'll be like, well, you're doing it too. You're doing it too. And you're like, well, I'm doing it because of you doing it first. And you're like, why am I even having this argument as an empath? It's because they've sucked you into the rabbit hole with them. And that was the whole purpose. And now they're looking back laughing because they got demons on them. So they're laughing like, see, I told you she got that. I told you she was dark like me. You know, I'm okay with being dark. But she the one talking about she's not dark. You see how she just pissed me off. She just did this to me. Yeah. This is what these succubus deities make them, influence them to become. They want you to succumb to your shadow side. Whatever your shadow side is, if you fear poverty, if you fear love, if you fear intimacy. I didn't fear love. I feared intimacy, because intimacy means that I have to become more empathic with that person. And if this person was to not receive me, that could shatter my soul. And that's what happened over and over. But this last relationship, it did a number on my empathic Like, it took everything in me not to become narcissistical with this person. This person was the darkest person I had ever met. The darkest being. The most loneliest being. And I thought, as an empath, my light will spark something in this individual that would allow this individual to come out of that dark space. But like I said, when you're used to resonating in there, resonating in your shadow side, you get comfortable hiding behind the bushes. This is what these dark people do. They hide behind the bushes. So you over there coming out, hi God, I love you. I love you people. Hi, you bring in that energy, that joy. At first they like it because they're like, wow, this feels good. But what happens is it makes them have to become responsible for that shadow side. They have to now tie a noose around that shadow side and say, listen, the higher side wants to come out now. And it never happened. What happened is, as soon as you would think this person is about to go a little higher, they'll go a little bit, and then they'll turn around and become even more demonic with you, even more controlling, even more diabolical and vindictive. Like, it was crazy. And I'm like, I don't know how I stuck with the bullshit so long, but I have to thank that individual because it showed me how powerful I needed to become. So now I see why God does send narcissistic people in certain people's lives, because he understands that we have a weakness about ourselves, that if we can distinguish certain things that is holding us back, man, it's only up from here. What was holding me back was worrying about bullshit ass people doing stuff to me. Right? Now, a couple years ago, I would say, oh, I don't care. I didn't really care, but I did care. Depending on what it was, I'm still kind of worried. Like, well, I don't want to look bad. I can't say certain things to certain kind of people. I'm not saying I'm going to become an asshole. But I'm able to say things that I know could hurt a person's feelings if I know it needs to be said. I'm not going to be rude and disrespectful, but if I know that I have to go into a high school and give a speech, and I know if I'm talking about certain things and there's two kids in there, they're the thug of the group, and they keep popping off, interrupting what I'm trying to tell the students that really do want to learn, I may have to pull those two kids out the class and give them a talking to. Like, listen here, just because you don't want to learn, don't mess it up for everybody else. I'm going to be nice, and I don't want to send you to detention, you know what I'm saying? Because I've been where y'all been. I understand it gets boring in class, but this is something that's going to help you for the rest of your life. So I suggest you stay put and keep your mouth shut. And some kids might get offended by that and be like, wow, she had to say that. And then some kids might respect that. It just depends on how evolved that child is. But I'm not going to bite my tongue and hope that, oh, well, if I say this and they go back and tell their mama, I don't care, because what I'm saying is truth. People need to hear the truth. Bullies need to hear the truth. The crazy thing is, the reason why bullies keep getting away with the shit that bullies do is because there's nobody strong enough to say, I don't care what venom this bully got, I'm finna keep saying the truth. I'm gonna keep saying the truth until it shames the devil. And that's the issue, that where these beings, they keep growing in beast nature instead of humanity nature. It keeps going into other individuals as this beast-like nature because people are fearful. Humans are too fearful. And that's the beauty of coming out as the phoenix rising. You come out of the ashes, you come out of the fire, and you rise to your divinity. And that's what happened to me. All the abuse has allowed me to rise to my purpose. God had a serious purpose for me, and I didn't know it. But now that I understand it, can't no narcissist being come and stop what this God has for me. This God has a purpose for me to help people out of the ashes. He's like, you know what, Cece? I'm finna make you the gatekeeper of heaven. But you got gatekeepers of hell. Now, if you're not strong enough, the gatekeepers of hell is going to overpower the gatekeepers of heaven. So I need you to be powerful, my child. I need you to be resilient to what they're going to bring against you. They're going to bring ammunition. They're going to bring they're going to try to ruin your reputation. They're going to try to ruin your finance. They're going to try to ruin your love life. They're going to try everything. They're going to try to mess with your psychology. They're going to try to mess with your children. They're going to come after your family. I have broken generational curses. So this is the thing. It's like the more powerful I become and the more not less empathic, but the less fearful. The less fearful I become, the more the demons will get angry. The things, the shadow side of individuals, for people that don't believe in demons. The shadow side of individuals that are mad at the purpose, the more they will come against me. Like I notice these type of deities that are attached to these people, they kind of all come with the same agenda, whether it's in my love life, with my parent, with bullies. They all come with that same agenda. I notice it's like the same type of pattern, is to either try to expose my shadow side, hurt me in some type of emotional way. And it's like, it's so laughable now because I realize it's the same entity. It's the same entity working through these people to come after me. So I'm not even worried about it. Like, I could sleep good at night. Before, I used to be worried about it, thinking about it, like, could this happen? You know, it's like now, whatever God has for me, can't no man go against me. So they could keep trying and trying and trying. All those spells, all those wickedness, it all gets sent back to them. And when it gets sent back to them, what's so funny is they'll know it's being sent back to them because it'll happen in the same way they try to send it to you. That's what's so funny. Is like, people don't really, they play with the spirit world, but when the spirit world come and play with them, it's like, ooh, okay, it's a problem. It's a whole issue. And then they'll try to blame the empathic person or the person they were coming against and be like, yeah, it's their fault. They did it to me. It's like, no, you did it to yourself. I remember my ex used to always say, oh, you doing this to me. Me having standards is doing something to you? That's a problem, my dad. That's a problem, my guy. He's like, oh, you leaving me. You don't care about me. You don't care about my future. You didn't care about my future when you had me in the bed crying because you know, you did all these narcissistic things to me. This is what I'm saying. These people are so selfish. And they get mad when you speak the truth. I was watching this movie, and I'm going to get off of here after this. There's a movie called The Black Phone, Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1, I have an app that I can see all the movies. My son told me about this app. So I watched Part 1, and it's about a kidnapper. And he would kidnap these kids. I might have to say a spoiler alert, so that's the only probably way I could tell the point of the movie. He was kidnapping these kids, boys and girls. Was it girls? I think it was girls. And he was, they called him the balloon man because he had balloons, and he would use the balloons to hide when he snatched the kid, he would let the balloons out the van so that people couldn't see him snatching the kid. And there was one particular kid. This is what I'm saying, how you break generational curses. Sometimes evil will get away with certain situations for a long time until that one being that's the chosen one is sent to break that spell or break that pattern. So, for example, if I was the last woman in this narcissistic person's life that finally got this narcissist to see all the women that he's hurt before me, because I was the last one to bring the straight empathic wrath, that's going to fuck with that person's head for the rest of their life, because they know they were supposed to change. Allah sent me to you to bring you the light, and you still refuse to change. The same thing with my mom. You had 70 years to stop abusing your children psychologically, lady. You still refuse to change. So now when I'm breaking the generational curses by exposing it, that's when it becomes an issue for these people. But this is not where the war stops. So in this movie, this last kid that he snatched, oh baby, he didn't know that kid was sent from God to destroy him. So this kid, little scrawny little white boy, he gets snatched up. Now the psychological pattern with this particular child before he got snatched was where the lesson for that child, which is the karmic lesson, was supposed to have been understood for him to gain the mission successfully. And this is what happens with all of us. We all come in with some level of karmic debt on our shoulder, whether it's a generational curse, whether it's something internal conflict within yourself that you must battle. You must overcome it to get to the mission. The mission is going to be your accomplishment. The mission is going to be your success. But you can't get the complete mission down packed until you fight your own demon. So that's why these demons keep coming against you and winning, because you haven't battled your own demon. So in this movie, this boy had a specific internal conflict, which was he feared himself. So when he would get bullied in school, he would let the bullies beat him up. He'd just sit there and be like, he was fearful. So when you go back to his story, I love that movie. It's scary, but it had a powerful, powerful message. So he had a sibling, which was his sister. She was a couple years younger, maybe about 2-3 years. And when you see the history of why he was so fearful, you go back to the house where he was raised, and he had an alcoholic, violent daddy. The daughter, she was raised in the same home with this alcoholic daddy. He was beating them for stuff, just anything. Anything he got mad of, he was beating these children. Taking out the daddy had his own karmic debt that he had to pay, but he was taking out all his frustration on the children. The boy, how he handled that internal abuse, that internal violence, was he internalized it and he wanted to be invisible to the world. That's what happens with a lot of empaths and a lot of people that suffer with codependency and borderline issues. They want to become invisible. Like, please don't see me, because I know if you see me, you're going to talk about me bad or you're going to make fun of me. So it's a fear. So he struggled with that. His sister was the opposite. She was the warrior. She was like, Dad, stop beating me. That was her attitude. She didn't talk back. She kind of did a little bit, but the dad didn't like that she would talk back. So he would make her beatings more vicious. And even while she was crying from the beatings, she was crying loud. Like, she had a cry that was like a cry for help, like a moan. She was like, ah, like somebody come help me. This man crazy. Whereas the other kid, the brother, he would just take his beatings like, yeah, I deserve to be beat because I shouldn't have talked back to Dad. You see what I'm saying? The difference in the mentality. The dad couldn't break the daughter. Her psychology was too powerful. And that's kind of like how I am. It's like my psychology is too powerful. I'll take the pain. You want to try to beat me up. Okay, I'll take it. But there's going to be a punishment coming for your ass too. I don't know what God got planned yet, but when he ready to let me lay down the law, it's going to be a wrap for these people. So that's how the girl was doing it. She was like, you know what? This is my dad. I can't beat him up. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to take my beating. But at the end of the day, I know he's foul. He's wrong for doing this. So when she got older, she confronted him. She was like, all them times, what, you going to beat me? Like when she was doing certain things, she was like, what, you going to beat me now? And he couldn't even say nothing because he realized she's not going to be a child forever. So that was one of the lessons that was learned, is you got to stand up for yourself, because it's always going to be somebody that want to take advantage of you. So you're going to let everybody just come and keep taking advantage of you? And that's what the boy was doing. Everybody just come into school and just beat your ass and you don't do shit. So there was this one kid in that school. He was actually the rebel. He wasn't a bully, but he was a rebel. And he would go, and when he beat somebody up, he would beat the crap out of them. But most of the time, he was beating up the bullies. He kind of took a liking to this kid because the kid was smart. So the kid would help him with his homework. And he was like, you know what? He always helped me with my homework. I'm going to help him with his bullies. So one day, they were in the bathroom, and these bullies came to look for the kid, the scary kid. And I think they grabbed him and was like, yo, we'll meet you after school or something like that. And he over there shitting bricks like, oh my God, why? Why? And here comes the rebel kid. He got like a little bandana on. I think he was Spanish. And he got the little bandana on. And he busts through the bathroom. He's like, yo, touch him again or even come next to him. I will beat each one of y'all behinds or whatever. And they were like, because they seen what he could do. He could fight. So they left the bathroom, and he was like, yo, like, I care about you. You gotta stand up for yourself. And he was like, I be wanting to, but I can't. And he said, one day you're gonna have to. And that particular statement came, that one day was when he got kidnapped. That was the day he was tested. And when that man snatched him up and locked him in that basement and chained him up or whatever. Was he chained up? I can't remember. He was locked in that basement for a while. And at first he was trying to find his way out. And all the ways out he kept trying to find, it was no way out. The scary man kept coming in the basement, and he was like, I need you to come upstairs. The whole idea is the man that took him was a psychopath. And he liked this game where they would chase. He wanted the kid to come upstairs so he could chase him around the house, and then I guess SAM, and then maybe chop him up or something like that, right? But the kid was too scared just to go upstairs. So the kid started seeing ghosts, the ghosts of the children that the man snatched in that basement. And each child that got snatched gave that kid a message. The bully kid got snatched. Not the bully kid. The rebel kid that helped him in the bathroom, that kid got snatched and got unalived. So all those children that got unalived, their spirit was still resonating in that basement because they couldn't rest. They couldn't rest until the generational curse was broken. Now, it wasn't really a generational curse for the kids, but it was a generational curse for that crazy man. He has a sickness in his lineage, and he took it out on other people's children, if that makes sense. So these kids' spirits their souls couldn't rest until they put a stop to it. This is how these curses work on the planet. So this one kid was the chosen one. So that's why I say God understands the heart. You can't judge people because you don't know what God knows about them before you do. So everybody thought this kid was weak, and this kid was powerful. How he took this kidnapper down, I was like, what? I got so proud of him. I was like, that's my baby. I don't even know this boy. I'm like, I want him to be my son. But the way he took charge, all those children before him couldn't do that. That's why sometimes the heart of the softest person could be the most powerful. You never underestimate people. So when he finally got the gumption, the ghost of the rebel kid said, tonight's going to be the night. If you don't make it tonight, you're not going to make it. And the rest of us is going to stay here till kingdom come. We are looking for you to make this happen for us. And he was like, how do I do that? He said, tonight I'm going to show you how to fight. And he was showing him how to use the telephone wire. He's like, when this guy come forward, I need you to go back. When he was like, this is what you got to, this is the motion you need to do. Stay with that motion. Stay with it. He was like, don't move. Don't leave the motion. This motion is going to get you to be like, it's going to get you out of here. And I was like, he going to fuck this up. I could just tell he going to get scared. That crazy man going to come downstairs and he going to be like, humana. You know what I mean? But he did trip up a little bit. He tried everything as the kid showed him, and the spirit ghost showed him how to do it. And it was one incident where he slipped a little bit. And I said, oh my gosh, this is it. He not going to make it. But I'm telling you, he didn't need the kid's instructions once he gained that feeling of power. So that's when his brain actually started working for him. He didn't need somebody else's instructions. Someone else can't tell you how to be powerful. It has to come from within. But someone can guide you to learn your own internal power. So these people were there to guide this child. These spirit guides, the ones that passed before him. They guided him and showed him, you got this. But you got to believe you got this. And he was like, but I'm not sure. He's like, you're going to have to be. Or it's going to be you or that person. They're going to unalive you. What you going to do? And he was like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. So when the adrenaline started coming and the man came downstairs and he's fighting the man with the telephone wire first, and the guy, and he ended up tripping, I think. The kid ended up falling on the ground. I was like, man, he did a good fight, but poor baby. But he didn't stop. At this point, the anger came in him, and I think all the anger from all the abuse, the bullies, and everybody else that fucked with him, it finally came in him, and he was like, "Ugh." He was just beating them. Oh, I don't even want to tell the whole story, but that shit was beautiful. And when he finally took the life of this man, I'm not saying that, that's a good thing, but that man deserved it, right? He finally took that last breath. The man is on his last breath. All those souls that the man unalive came and taunted him. They were like, yeah, we're going to see you in hell. And they was like waiting for him to pass for his transformation so they can wreck on him. So I was like, that movie is dope. Then there was a part 2. And I'm like, what? This man died. What the hell? The spirit of the man came back. So when the kid finally gets out of the basement, the kid that fought back, the residual damage fucked him up. So sometimes with an empath, they'll fight the good fight, they'll win the battle of a situation, conquer it, but then they go backwards. They let the psychological residual damage affect them, so they don't continue the growth. They don't continue the psychological, spiritual, mental, and physical growth. They get stagnant. So that's what happened with that kid. So when he got a little older, he was probably like, when it happened initially, he probably was about maybe 12, 13. And then when they showed years later, part 2, he's about 17, 18, maybe 19, right? And he's miserable. He's angry. He's not a narcissist, but he's coming off like an asshole. Like, you would kind of think he's very cynical. The sister is still beautiful. Oh, I forgot to tell you, the sister had a powerful spiritual gift of a psychic ability, so she could see when things are about to happen and stuff like that. So that part was important. That's how she found her brother in the basement. She saw a dream of the house he was kidnapped in. So he's all miserable. He don't want to get like a real job. He's just basically like a loner. He's just acting weird, like very depressed, because he kept having these thoughts of what happened to him in the basement. He's not proud of himself. He's just like, man, I just did what I had to do, but y'all don't understand what I went through down there. He just wouldn't let that part go. So the ghost of the serial killer came into his sister's dream now, because you got to remember, the ghost of the serial killer, he passed away, but he's pissed. He's pissed that this kid took his life. So he's got a personal vendetta in the spirit realm for this kid now. So now he's like, well, I know your sister got a gift, because now that I'm past, I could see your sister when she sleeps. She goes into the spirit realm and she roams throughout the different realms. So I'm going to catch your sister lacking in her sleep, and I'm going to get her. And that's what he did. He went after his sister and was like, I'm going to get her. It started turning like a little bit like Nightmare on Elm Street type shit. But that movie was good. So he tried to get the sister in the spirit realm, and the kid still had to come to grips with the continual fight. So this was like a part 2 of, you don't get to rest, my guy. No. We need you to still be on the mission. You help those kids finish the lineage, but there's a part 2 to this. Come to find out, the mama of that kid was the first victim of that serial killer. And this is the reason why the father never got over it, because the father thought that the mother had unalived herself. But what had happened was, the mother had a dream of who the serial killer was, and she was about to tell the police where to find him, and he found her first and unalived the mama. So the mama kept coming to the little girl's dreams, trying to show the little girl where it all started, the origin of the serial killer. So now he got a personal vendetta against the whole family. So it's like they had to break that whole situation apart. I'm not going to tell the whole movie. I know I probably already told most of it. But that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, you don't even know how much power you might have, because there might be generations waiting on you to get it right. Like, you might have a whole kingdom waiting for you, but you first have to complete the mission so that the rest of your family lineage can rest in peace. We always talk about, oh, rest in peace, but we don't even know the whole lineage of what the story behind how all these people passed away. They could have left devastating stories on this planet, and they waiting for you to get it right, so that God can mercifully bless all of them. That's what happened in the Bible. There were so many lineages of curses, and God kept trying to send messengers to clean off this last lineage. And then the messenger, not the messenger, but like the prophet or the psychic person might come on the scene, and so much craziness will happen that they never get to really complete the mission. You see what I'm saying? Like, all these people came before us and passed away with the message, and what happened? They got unalived. The word got watered down. They got annihilated. And then people went right back to doing the crap they do. Never really actually completing the mission. Like in Noah time, in Moses time, all those people saw the power and manifestation of what God was doing for them, and they still refused to get it right. They was like, man, F Moses. We don't care about him. Let's go make this statue and kiss on it and fornicate with it. And you know what I'm saying? Like, just so ungrateful. And then when their whole family lineage just went to shit and hell and hot water, they crying out to God, like, why did this happen? It's like, God is like, you know what? I'm about sick of y'all. I keep giving y'all the willpower, the signs and synchronicities, and you just refuse to get it right. So that's when I was like, I finally starting to really wake up. I mean, I know 51 years is a long time to finally say, okay, I get it now, God. But I didn't have a support system back then. So now I'm trying to help my daughters to see their worth, their power, and my son. So that they don't have to wait another 20 years to understand what's what. But for me, for the stuff that I've been through, I'm proud of myself. I'm actually, for the first time in my life, actually really just proud of myself. It's not even about money, wealth, any kudos, how I look. It's what I did internally. The internal work was the battle. Because all of this hereditary. I was born like this. My mom don't really age. My aunties, that was just a natural gift we had. But the internal, that was severely damaged. And I could hide that to the rest of the world, but I can't hide it to myself. So when I finally had to come to grips with all the stuff that I was hiding from my own self, I was like, okay, yeah. We got to have a talk. We got to do this. We got to do this. So now I don't care about the external factors. I don't care about the spiritual attacks. I don't care about the psychological attacks. It doesn't faze me no more. I actually laugh at that now. Because I know what's going to come to those people that continue to come after God-chosen people. I feel sorry for them. Because it's not going to be no 1, 2, 3... okay, I'm going to pat you on your back. No, it's going to be, I will ruin your whole generation now because you keep stopping the message. God don't play. He don't play about his chosen ones, and he don't play about wickedness. So when he searches the heart of man and he see there's nothing but wickedness, a lot of times he just takes out the whole generation. These people keep playing. And I try to tell the people in my life, I was like, you know what? I really love you. I really want to help you. I really want you to get out of this funk, get out of this mindset. I said, because if you pass away before changing that way about yourself, you will leave a generational curse for your children to clean up. If you don't even want to do it for yourself, do it for your children. Because now they got to clean up your mess. When their life goes into calamity after calamity and they're actually trying to do the right thing, they're going to know it's something deeper than just their own life. It's something on that situation. That's something I had to come to grips with. I'm like, I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to do God's word. Why does calamity keep coming after calamity? And I realized it was the generational curses of my parents and my parents' parents. My mother's father was a pedo. He did a lot of things to the women in those families. He tried with me when I was a kid, and I punched him in his face. But there was a secret about that. Nobody talked about that. So all of these things had to get exposed to clean out the generational curses. I told my children about it. I said, this situation has been in our family for a long time. There's a lot of situations that people push under the rug and think that, oh, as long as these people don't talk about it, but God knows about it. And you did nothing about it. You let the uncle that was touching on the nieces come to the picnic, knowing that this man should have been beat down, knowing that he should have been castrated or put in jail from the, you know what I'm saying? Like, these people, they bring it upon themselves. They bring it upon themselves. And then you got moms that will let these boyfriends come into the home, violate their child, and act like they don't see it. My mother did the same thing to me. I said, your boyfriend tried to touch me. I punched him in the face too. Yo, I've been a warrior since I came out my mother's womb. The only person I probably wouldn't fight back was my father. But I punched that drunk piece of garbage straight into the tub. And I was only 12. So me and my sister confronted her like, yo, what you gonna do about it? This dude is a pedo. What you gonna do? She over there talking about, get out my room. Get out my room. Protecting this man. She didn't realize her daughters don't play. I was 12 and my sister was 13 and a half. The one that passed away. She went and boiled some grits. We started snatching his clothes out the closet and throwing it out the window. So, of course, you know, he runs after his clothes. He's like, yo, they crazy. Your daughters are crazy. We're not crazy. We are not playing with you. So he running after his clothes, and my sister threw the pot of grits out the window on his ass. All you heard was screaming, I'm never coming back. We don't want you to come back. And, of course, she in her room crying. She didn't even confront us. She was so embarrassed. She went in her room, locked her door. You could hear her crying. This is what I'm saying. This is what you're dealing with. Weak ass people. But they weak to goodness. They're not weak to evil. They will sit there, smirk and laugh and be okay with the evil. But then when it's time to do the right thing and it's time to do good, all of a sudden they too tired. They too weak. The narcissist will raise hell all day, all night. Terrorize your life. But when it's time to do the right thing, they tired. When it's time to show love, they too sleepy. You see what I'm saying? Ran by entities. These are entities that control these people. And once you get that in your thick skull, not you guys, I'm saying once people understand that, especially the empaths, there's something special about the empaths. I'm not saying I'm some special person, but the reason why we're special is because we have that extra level of care. So we'll take it to the next level to make sure that we help. We're the helpers of the land. And people take that for granted. So now when the empath knows their worth and they evolve, they can be useful to the ones that actually deserve it. Because everybody don't deserve that type of shit. You thinking you're going to come help a demon? If that demon is a high-powered demon, he's not letting that person go. He's not. That demon is not letting that person go. That person is going to go on to the next, transform into the next life, and they will have to repeat the cycle. They will have to repeat it to their children's children. They will probably become a monitoring spirit, or if Allah decides he might give them a second chance, he might say, hey, I'm going to turn you into a spirit guide. You need to go and help the whole planet, and that's going to be your mission until I feel you deserve mercy. God don't play. God don't play. One way or the other, you're going to have to pay it back tenfold. So it's better to do the good deeds now while you're alive, while you still got some breath of air, you know what I mean? Kick it in your bones, instead of having to repeat it in the spirit world, because the spirit world feels a whole lot rougher. I had a rough dream last night, but my passed away sister, she keeps coming in my dream, and I feel like I've helped release some of the generational curses, because now she seems free. When she comes in my dream, she's free. She's happy. When she first passed away, the first couple of years she would come in my dreams, she seemed quiet and miserable. So I don't know. I just feel like the ancestors are proud of me. There's somebody out there in that spirit realm is rooting for me. I could feel it. I don't got all the answers yet, but as I say, the more I climb this mountain of spirituality and getting this stuff done, helping the people, I'm not here to play. I didn't come here on this realm to play with people. I love life, I love people, but I'm making sure that I understand the mission at the same damn time. Anyways, I love you guys. I almost went into an hour, but I'll talk to y'all soon, okay? Bye.